And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Life from the Inside Out. If you're back with us, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, in just a few moments, we're going to be doing some deep trance channeling and exploring inner wisdom with Serge and Kris. So, if you're into metaphysical knowledge and wisdom, then stick around. You're in for a treat, and welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, let's check in with Serge. And how are you doing today, Serge?
I am very good. Thank you very much. I hope you had a nice weekend so far. Mine was a little busy, but nice.
Yeah, well, sounds good. I know lately we've been encouraging some of the viewers to get over to the Channeling Kris website, sign up for the newsletter. There's all kinds of, in addition to this YouTube channel, there's all kinds of other ways to interact with Kris through seminars or quotes that you get from the newsletter, and just get updates on all the different ways to interact with the Kris community. So, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds very good. And yes, we gladly invite people to sign up and enjoy what we have to offer.
No, cool. Yeah, sometimes too, you get a notice, maybe even get on one of the group YouTube episodes and be a part of the show.
Those are fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else coming up for you? Or are we ready to get going? I know maybe gonna even once Kris gets in, talk about what we went over in the last episode and see if we build from there.
Yeah, I think I'm good to go.
All right.
Just have to turn the key on in the ignition and go. Now we trust that you are comfortable.
Yes, very comfortable. Thank you.
But please feel free.
Well, Kris, yeah, I feel like I'm doing a summary almost. But yeah, last time we talked about dream bodies, and we were building on that from the previous episode. In particular, a really interesting thing you mentioned connected to mindfulness was uh, paying attention to the physical body and what it's doing in time and space, and how that could lead to awareness of the present moment and even some insights into other bodies we might have. And got into a little bit with how the with doing dream exploration, we can begin to become familiar with these dream bodies, and then what how that'll somehow enhance our physical life and our conscious life in this realm. So those are some really interesting things, and that feeling tones, emotions, and imaginings were involved with that. So I'm thinking that's some things that we can build on this week.
Indeed. The premise is most interesting. And of course, we are barely scratching the surface. This is a vast area of discovery. And as such, with these particular discussions, we invite the individual into a reflective journey, one that merges the boundaries of self awareness and cosmic wonder. We also encourage the individual to venture forth into a moment of introspection, a getaway from the mundanity of daily life. Just like most people love to have a weekend getaway so they can have some peace of mind, relax, enjoy some other kind of adventure besides working 9 to 5. So the idea is to transcend beyond the confines of your normal understanding of time and space. And this, of course, immediately evokes a sense of boundless exploration. And that is important because you are usually, as a species, you are bound by your own self-made rules and regulations of all kinds. And you very rarely have the freedom, and we might want to rephrase that, you very rarely give yourselves the freedom to explore who you are other than when you wear your hats and business suits, whatever that may be to you. So it is important. And of course, visiting the cosmos casts a vast backdrop, a juxtaposition of the individual existence against the immeasurable universe, your universe. So this sets the stage for the exploration of dreams as mirrors to your deeper selves. Your own deeper adventures will show up in your dream states, in dream time. And this particular concept ties to age-old philosophical inquiries about the nature of reality, the nature of dreams, and their interrelation. Mankind has forgotten about this kind of self-inquiry. In many ancient cultures, there were even gods assigned to dreams, gods and goddesses. Dreams were used as a means of divination, a means of healing, a means of understanding, especially understanding your relationship with the universe on a rather personal level. Thus, by suggesting that your present self could be an echo to countless dream avatars, it hints at the multitudinous possibilities of your existence and identities. That is significant. Identities. You are accustomed to think of yourself as one identity, one personality, inflexible, cast in stone, unable to change. That is not necessarily the truth. You have made this. You have made a prison from which you cannot wiggle out of. This is of your own making. So this is significant to understand that you have many identities, and many of them show up in dream states. Many others show up in out-of-body experiences. You simply do not notice them. But they can be extraordinarily helpful. So this particular tantalizing dance between the conscious and the subconscious, and the duality of reality and dream time, opens up particularly evocative avenues of contemplation. They capture the eternal human fascination. And we cannot stress this enough. The eternal human fascination with understanding the mind, the subconscious, and the blurred lines between what's real and what's imagined. What is considered real and what is considered imagined is defined by yourselves, whilst in truth, there may be no differences. So in the particular conclusion, if you like, this alludes to the cosmic fabric connecting emotions, dreams, the stars, the galaxies, offering a profound thought that the vastness of the universe might not just be out there, as is often considered, but rather within you, as is often not considered. So what is within you is reflected outwardly. The moment you actually understand this, not just intellectually, but emotionally, at those deeper layers, something marvelous happens. Now, this kind of information has been echoed in various philosophical and spiritual traditions and teachings, suggesting that understanding oneself can be the gateway to understanding the universe, in any which term you want to use it. So, in essence, you might consider this to be a poetic and philosophical meditation, using and urging you to dive deep within yourselves to unravel mysteries that connect you to the vastness of the cosmos, specifically the vastness of the inner cosmos. Because in terms of the imagination, there are only the limitations that you have imposed. In other words, no limits or limitations exist except those that you have imposed. How does this affect the personality? How does this affect your consciousness? When you exist within the confines of your self-imposed limitations, you stifle your own growth. You do not allow yourselves much leeway in terms of persona, in terms of personality, in terms of identity. You insist that you are only one identity, whilst in truth, identity is extremely flexible or malleable. You insist that you are this as a personality, but this as a personality is by choice, not allowing other elements of the personality to float through, other elements to come within the parameters of your essence, if you want, to showcase just how full of creativity you are, just how easily you can actually resolve your own challenges and problems. But when you operate with one hand tied behind your back, it is difficult to function. But you do this almost as if you are supposed to. Operate within life with one hand tied behind your back. Does that make some sense to you?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a little mystery as to why we would, impose that limitation on ourselves.
You have been conditioned to fear the unknown. And we want to be very specific. You might think as a species that the unknown is out there. There is so much talk lately about unidentified flying objects, alien life forms out there. And you have already concluded that because you might fear that, they must be malevolent. In truth, you are projecting your own inner fears about yourself and the malevolence that you believe exists within you because you have been conditioned to think that way out there. Do you follow?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but really, we're just afraid of our own inner unknowns.
You are afraid, and in this way, you keep yourselves in ignorance. There is potential. Potential we equated some time back with love. So, in essence, you fear the larger loving aspects of your own self. It may not make sense to you. Why would you do that? Look at how your society, especially your modern Western world, has defined the alpha male as literally a beast, uncaring, devoid of any human emotions, never seen crying, never showing tenderness. In fact, showing the very opposite. And if you look at some of these so-called sacred writings of some of the major religions, the male, the patriarchal role model is very clearly defined. And it should frighten you to think that this is what you base your inner male model upon. Do you follow?
Yes, and I know, I really feel and know what kind of examples you're talking about. Yeah, for sure.
Indeed. So you relegate the more tender, loving aspects of the human personality traits to the female. And when any of those tend to show up in the male, you think somehow or other you have failed as a male and you seek help. You seek to suppress that. This can be demonstrated in your culture. It doesn't take a PhD in psychology to understand that. So the more loving, tender aspects of the personality are actually shared equally by men and women, and whatever gender they want to be. But that is where you have a disconnect. You wish to set further barriers. You, as a species, insist that the man must function in this way, the woman in this way. And never the twain shall cross. This is the toxic ideal. Well, in truth, for the longest time, for example, it was considered that hunter-gatherers, the hunters were males, the females, the weak ones, were staying at home, cooking, tending to the children, not cooking the children, just tending to them. Now, this is proving to be a false premise. Vikings were all considered males until proven otherwise. So you have in your modern world set artificial standards. And this actually diminishes your connection with life. You are unable to be flexible, to flow. You have become rigid. Just like homes in your world are more or less all made of cement now. So your personality is being cemented in a fashion that it cannot offer flexibility, extreme rigidity in gender roles. So this is actually hurting your species. But why would you put yourselves in that situation? You are experimenting. Can we do this? Can we do that? How far can we go? Until you realize that at some point you must reverse course and take a different tactic. And not just through TikTok, but in real human terms. You have become very sophisticated with the use of your advanced technologies, but you have become unsophisticated with your relationship with nature. So you have divorced yourselves from the very ground of your being in this way. And who suffers? You do. Because you have disconnected yourselves from your very roots, thinking that if you become a technologically advanced society, you cannot be naturally tied or tied to the nature. But that is another artificial division that does not need to exist. Nature has shown you a different form of technology, a natural technology. How do you think trees, for instance, sequoias, the tallest trees on your planet, how do you think they draw water from the ground to the top? That is a form of technology that you have not explored. And there are so many others along those lines. We just choose that because it's quite evident. You also have deliberately ignored the interrelationships that exist between trees in the forest. Everything that occurs underground between the roots, between mycelia or mushrooms, and all the other creatures. It is a vast interrelated network of a natural technology, a living, organic, biological system. You are just becoming aware of how fragile everything is. Your entire lives depend on a few things only. A few inches of topsoil. The worms that aerate and fertilize that topsoil layer. The bees that pollinate the plants, fruits and vegetables that you eat. If these three things and their gentle, delicate balance is overly disrupted, you are, in effect, in a deep problem. Some people are aware of this, but not enough. In many similar ways, your own personas, your own self, exists on a delicate, balanced orchestration of attitudes, feelings, and emotions. You restrict their potential growth because you fear wrongly that you must somehow or other control it very tightly, because if you give it some freedom, you will lose your mind, without realizing that in actuality, self-mastery is the best way to regain your own sense of identity by paying attention to what is essential, what is important in your lives. You, in some ways, have become confused, thinking that your products are essential to your lives, what you produced in your factories. And all of your energy goes there without realizing that there is a delicate balance between the elements of nature and your personality. Of course, we are not putting your species down, we're just pointing out some very important things because your species also has the ability, the incredible potential to resolve all of your challenges if you utilize your own innate resources. That is inborn, it is innate within you. And this information on dreams and other materials is an absolutely wonderful way to get in touch with that part of your nature that actually has the answers to your different challenges, both individually and collectively. But you cannot access collectively until you access individually. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, Kris, and I think we're getting towards the end of this episode too. So, but yeah, nothing else for me.
Indeed, then we will give you a little break.
All right, sounds like a plan, and looking forward to the next one.